What is up, people? It's Token here, and today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to understand emblem tutorials. Now, this kind of layout for my videos that I use is what most people use. I borrowed it from Screech. I'm sure Screech might have got it from somebody else, but maybe he might have made it originally. I don't know. I didn't put in the research, but a lot of people that make emblem videos make them almost the same way, where you just scale in, or you bring in the opacities and you move on to the next layer. And the reason why we do this is because all the positioning, all the information you need is on screen right there. Now, if you were to, a lot of people request that I make voice tutorials on how to do this. Well, the thing about that is, back in Black Ops 1, when I was doing voice tutorials, there was only 12 layers. And the way that worked was these videos would be about, 10 minutes long, because it'd only take about a minute to explain each layer and how it works and the way to put it together. And we didn't have the information that we have right now. We didn't have position and scale, rotation, opacity. That wasn't available on the screen for you to just copy. And a layer like that back then took a minute to explain. Imagine how it is now with all the exact positioning to get something exactly the way it looks. It's going to take another minute for each layer, and with 64 layers you're going to have hour-long videos just to explain things. Now, I'm going to get into the part where we're going to talk about the controls, talk about position and scale, and the colors with gradients and how everything works. So everything you're going to need is in this video, and we are going to get started. So I'm going to be going over just an arm, just 5 simple layers in one of my most famous emblems, and that would be the Squidward dab. And I'm going to start off at layer 37. And the way this works is we are going to play our video until we start to see where it fades in. So I just finished off layer 36 in my video, so I'm going to play it, and you're going to see layer 37 has started to fade in. So I'm going to pause it before it fades in completely, and you can already see exactly approximately where the emblem that we're going to be working on is going to be located. Now, we don't need to see how I put it there, because all the information you need to put it there is already there. So I'm going to click in to layer 37 on my video, and we're going to find the emblem that looks like the one at the bottom of the screen. So at the bottom it looks like some kind of rock. So over here it's exactly what it's called. It's called a rock. So I'm going to put that in as layer 37. Now on the controls to the left, you can see that flip is highlighted. So you press the button from the controls that it tells you to flip. So we're going to flip it. Now we will go over to where it says layers used, position, scale, rotation, opacity. We're just going to make the numbers exactly like how it is on screen. Now X is 4, so we're going to move it to the right 4. And Y is -2, so we're going to move it up 2. And now our position's perfect. Scale is -144 and -173. So we're going to worry about X scale first. So we're going to scale it in by pushing left on the right thumbstick. And you can see we get to about 144. Now to get the Y to -173, we're going to click in the right thumbstick, and that's going to allow us to go into free scale mode. As you can see in the top left in the controls menu, and when I click it in, it changes free to fixed. So we're going to go to free scale, and we're going to move the Y down with the right thumbstick until it gets to -173. Now the X might move just a little bit. We just got to fix that right up by pushing left on the thumbstick again. And that is about perfect. Now rotation, as you can see in the controls, it says we're going to use the right triggers and left triggers to rotate. So we're going to rotate this to 194. Alright, and the opacity is already perfect. Now everything else you see here, where it says layers used, 64, color opacity 1 and 2 with the gradient rotation, and then you can see it says gradient, color 1, color 2, gradient slider, and then it has 2 other gradient color menus there. That is the information shown to show you gradients and the exact colors used. So when I press Y or triangle, that's going to go into the color picker. And as you can see, we have a standard color here, but if on my video you see that there's just a single color box with no gradient information at all, it's going to be to the left, and it's going to show you exactly what color to choose. But when you see the gradient information in the controls, you can see it says X toggle to gradient. On PS4 it should be square. So I'm going to press X on my Xbox One, and now we have gotten into the gradients menu. So the first things we are going to take care of is where it says at the top, color 1 opacity, color 2 opacity, and gradient rotation. I'm going to go into my color 2 because it's set to 0, and then it's going to set it to any color to make it 100%. Now gradient rotation, here we can see it in the controls menu, says rotate gradient, left or right trigger. So I'm going to rotate this to a 352. Now in the same menu, it also says gradient slider is set to 58, so we'll move that over to 58. And also below the gradient slider in a little tiny font, and it's going to be hard to see unless you're in full screen, it says radial gradient, press right thumbstick for linear gradient. So we are already at the right menu for that. So if I click in the right thumbstick, it's going to say layer gradient, press right thumbstick for radial. And I'm pretty sure that it's kind of awkward on this menu because the radial is actually linear, the linear is actually radial. So we just want to make it look exactly like how it is in the box. So I'm going to have it radial first. Now color 1. As you can see, the middle box to the right is the first colors menu. And it seems that we have chosen a light blue that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down from the top. So we will go into the light blues, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now color 2 is going to be the second one down. So second one down, 1, 2. And now it is exactly like how it is on the video. We've got the same controls, same position, scale, rotation, same color opacities and rotation, same colors, the slider, and whether it's radial or not. So we have this layer perfect. So now I'm going to play my video just a little bit longer until 38 fades in. Okay, 30, it's almost faded in, and you can already see where the next layer is going to be. Now, the next emblem we got to grab looks like a half circle, and it is called exactly a half circle. There's no flipping, there's no toggling, so everything for the controls menu on the left is correct. Position, we're going to move it into position. 1 over, 13 up. Okay, scale, -152, so we'll just worry about the X first. Alright, then we'll click in the right thumbstick to make the Y a -172. Okay. Now position and scale are perfect. Rotation is 238, so we'll move it to that. Okay, so now this menu is perfect. The rest is for colors, and as you can see, we have the gradients as well. So we're going to press Y or triangle to get into the colors, and press X or square to get into a gradient color. Now the first color, you know, I'm going to go off a little bit different here. I'm going to worry about the colors first. So the first color is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down from the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down from top blue. Color 2 is going to be 1, 2, 3 down from the top blue. 1, 2, 3. Now what we have to do here is I need to quickly change color 2 opacity to 100% like it is on the screen here. Okay, and I'm also going to mess with the rotation and get it to 41. And the gradient slider, it is set to 60. And we are on the right. Actually, we're not. Looks like I clicked in the right thumbstick on the video to make it a linear, so we make those words match up. Now everything on the screen matches with everything from the tutorial. So everything here is perfect, and we are going to back out of this menu, and that layer is done there. So again, I'm going to play the tutorial video just a little bit longer. Okay, before it fades in all the way, you can already see where it's going to be coming in. So it kind of looks like a downward rounded triangle for the next layer. So we're going to find that. Most of these are usually going to be in the tools. And I try not to use any black market items because so just everybody could make the same thing. Looks like it's called a tongue. So we're going to grab the tongue emblem, and it looks like in the controls it is flipped. So we're going to flip it. Now we're going to get the position correct, so 19 to the right, and 22 up. Position's perfect. All right, scale it in -125, -119. So we get the -125, and then we switch it to free scale and go to -119 for the right. Okay, our rotation's 224. Okay, now the positioning, scale, rotation, opacity is all good. The rest is just color. So we're going to go into a gradient color. Color 1 is the first light blue. Color 2 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down from the top blue. And we also need to make it 100%. Looks like we also have a gradient rotation of 212. So we'll put that in. Okay, now gradient slider is set down to 31, and for the radial that is already perfect. So now we have all of our color menus set up exactly the way it should be on screen, and this is exactly the same as well. So we are done with layer 39. Now hopping over to layer 40, we're going to play the video just a little bit longer and pause it before the next one fades in completely. Alright, so I can already tell where this is going to be. So let us grab, it looks like a tube. It's called a half tube for our next one. No flip, no toggle. Position 17 to the left and Y down 7. Scale is -89 and -91. Now this is something I'm going to show you real quick, is that the scale doesn't need to be perfect at all. You know, -89 and -91 are really close to each other, so it's not required to get them exactly the way it is. Not everything is going to translate perfectly anyways, and you'll see how I explain that later. But we'll get the rotation in at 40, and now this is good enough. Now the rest of it is the coloring for the layer. So we have a gradient coloring. The first color we're going to use is about 5 down from the light blue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Color 2 is the first dark blue, or first light blue. And we need to make sure the color 2 opacity matches as well at 100 and 100%. Now the gradient rotation looks like 21. Gradient slider is set to 64, so we'll set to 64, and let's see, radial is correct. Now everything in this menu is correct. Awesome. Now we're done with that layer. Let us play on to the next one. So this is going to be the last layer of our left arm for the Squidward, technically his right arm. Okay, it's almost faded in, so I'm going to pause it real quick. And it's using the same emblem with almost the same coloring. So instead of creating another layer, I'm just going to duplicate and paste by pressing select and start. And we will position and scale this into the exact same place that we see on screen. So we need to get to -33 along with positive 31. Okay, now the position's perfect. Scale is -85, so we'll free scale it in. It's by clicking in the right thumbstick, -85, and going to -159. Okay, we're at -159. We just have to mess with it a little bit to get the right numbers. Rotation is 14. And already on screen, I didn't need to see myself place it in from the tutorial. All I needed to do was put in the numbers, and it has the exact same placement as on the video. Now we can go into the colors just to make sure everything is correct, and the colors appear to be 5 down and the first blue, so that is correct. The gradient rotations are 100%, but the gradient opacities are 100%, but the rotation is 32, so we'll change that. Yeah. Okay, gradient slider is set to 54, and we'll move it down. And the radial gradient appears to be correct as well. Now something looks a little bit off. I might have gotten it wrong on the video, but that is not hard to fix. The way it looks is, it looks like the one we're messing with has a brighter blue to it, so we can change our first bright blue down to a dark one. So this is what we had before. This one looks a lot better. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I definitely had the wrong blue in the video, but making a simple change and noticing the way it was fixed completely now looks way better. And as you can see, we are done with our arm, but a few things don't look right here. Now this is where you have to go in yourself and make a few minute changes. So what looks wrong is that we have a hole in the center of his hand. It's a little tiny white hole, and even though all of our emblem layers and position and scale was correct, you are going to get little details off like this. That is because, as you can see in the scale, it says -144, -173. Well, that's not completely correct. It might be -144.4 and -173.8. These numbers are rounded off. They do not have exact numbers. So you are going to have to make some minute changes to this. So we can go to this layer and we can just scale it up a bit until it fills in the circle. Now what also looks a little bit off, and it looks good on the video, but something that we can change to make it even better ourselves, is this has a little darker spot fading into the lighter part of the top arm, and we can make that a lot better. We can go into the gradient and we can change the rotation to rotate the lighter side of this emblem to fit in better. Now that already looks perfect. It looks like this just one total layer for the hand itself. We can also go back to the top part of the forearm and change the rotation as well to fade it in even better as well. So now that is perfectly faded in, and that also throws off our little other tube, but we can also change the rotation on that as well. Now that already looks a lot better. You know, I would say that looks better than the tutorial already, and we already have our perfect arm. So we went over all the controls you need to see are on the left. We have the fixed scale, free scale by clicking the right thumbstick, getting the rotation, getting the opacity. Making sure that it's flipped is very important, because on the videos I will show which layers are flipped, but if it seems a little off, something could have gone wrong during editing and it might be flipped. So if you have the same position, scale, rotation, and opacity for a layer, but it looks totally off, try flipping it and see if that works. Sometimes it'll also be an outlined emblem by pressing in the toggle, depending on what kind of video we're watching, and the layer order is always according to what it is on the video. So we got over the tools, positioning and scale, and whether it's a gradient or not. And the easier thing to do with colors, as long as they're not gradient, is just it's going to show up in a video on a box, just a simple solid color. And if it's not just a simple solid color, here is the trick for that. Pressing in select, as you can see, it says toggle to color mixer. It tells you exactly the button to check. So we go into that, and this is where you might see some advanced color changes. For this, you just change the red, green, and blue sliders according to what you see on the screen, and you'll get the exact colors that I use. And I use this for emblems such as the sponge gar, to where I'm copying an image that's used frequently on the internet for memes and trying to get the exact coloring from what you see on the screen instead of just a roundabout color that looks kind of the same. You're going to get something that makes it look exactly like the image. But back to the solid colors, we can bring that in. So as long as the tutorial goes as far as it is, I do believe I've gone over everything you guys need to know. So at this point, there really shouldn't be any more questions, but if you do have any, please ask below, and I'll try to clarify it even more. And if I get enough questions, I will make an even better tutorial on how to make emblems from everybody's videos. And as far as it goes for now, that should be about it. So thank you guys for following along. I hope you guys have a great day, and until next time, peace out, peoples.